Chloe here at K Johnson G, and I'm one of your Xero certified advisors. I'm going to be showing you how to add a credit note onto Xero. So there's obviously two different ways of adding a credit note onto Xero. You can add a purchase credit note or a sales credit note. So I'm going to be showing you that today, how to add both of these. So we're in the dashboard section right now, but to add a credit note, we need to go into business, sales overview, or the sales credit note. And there's a couple of different ways of doing it, but the easiest way would be to go into awaiting payment. And we're going to select the basket case one to add a credit note to. And when you're in that basket case invoice or that sales invoice, you just go into invoice options and add credit note. Now the credit note has pre-filled, the credit note number has pre-filled in from the previous credit note, and the descriptions, the unit price has also been pre-filled in. The date is just that today's date, we can keep that same. But if you wanted to change that again, there is an option and you can add an optional reference. So here we're going to be not crediting the full amount of the invoice, just so I can show you that, that is an option and how to do that. So this project team meeting to discuss dev changes, we're going to delete this off the credit note. This was something that was provided with the service, the client still wanted. The development work per hour rate, we can change the quantity. So we're now crediting 2 hours because we only completed the 3. As you can see, the amount on the credit note has changed to £180 rather than the full amount. So if we are happy with all of these settings, the income, which will stay the same, because this original sales invoice was the 20% VAT on income, the branding can also stay the same. We can then approve that credit note. And you should be able to see in a second that that will be credited to that invoice. So the original invoice was £914.55 and now it is showing as £734.55 awaiting payment. So we have just added that now. There is another way of doing it. If we go back to sales overview or your awaiting payment section, sales overview and click new, you can also add a credit note from there. Now that's slightly more long-winded and different because you're typing in the supplier, you're obviously adding all of these different sections, and not pre-filled in. So it is easier to do it the previous way, but if you did want it to do this way, I will show you how to do that now. So let's just find an invoice in the sales overview or awaiting payment. So we have the city limousines on the 20th of September, and this is for £19.95. So we're going to credit the full amount on this invoice. Limousines. Again, the credit note number just generates, but you can change that. It's an option. And the item on this credit note was book, which pre-filled it in for you when you type in the item, which is a really useful feature. As you can see, this is inclusive of that, and the credit note is set as tax exclusive by default. So where it says amounts are, we can change to tax inclusive. And if we approve that invoice, that's credit note there, sorry, it should bring up all of the outstanding invoices for that customer. So we can credit that to the correct one, which is £19.95, and allocate the credit. So that is how you do it on the sales overview section, adding a sales credit note. Now we're going to go to the purchases section and I'll show you how to add a purchase credit note. It's a very similar concept. You just go into purchases overview in business, you can see there. I'm going to go into awaiting payment and find an invoice to add. So Smart Agency on the 25th of October. I want to add a £1,500 credit note to this. So in bill options, you just click add credit note. There we go. So you can see if we want to add a £1,500 credit note, we do need to change the total here, otherwise it won't let you approve it. So on this unit price section, we just change it to 1,500. The amounts are tax inclusive, so that's all set for you from the previous invoice. The marketing, your account, again, it's if you add it straight from the invoice, it is all pre-filled in. So it does save a lot of time. You just have to change the amounts if that is something that you need to do. And the reference, it's kept the same as the invoice, but you can change that. So if you want to change it to CR0210. And then at the bottom here, we can just approve this credit note. As you can see, it's gone straight against that 2,500 invoice. So now we can see the amount due is £1,000. And as I've shown you before in the sales section, if we go back to business purchases overview, we can also add it from here, new credit note. So if we find a purchase that is again awaiting payment, Smart Agency. Let's go into this Power Direct one. So as you can see, this is a light power and heating invoice for monthly electricity. So that's for Power Direct. So on the from section here, type Power Direct, 11th of November, then reference. So that's if the supplier has provided you with a credit note reference and you want to pop it in there for your reference to make tracking of records a little bit easier. So the bill amount for this one was £108.60 and net price of £103.43. I'm just going to credit £50 here. Not used. So I'm just typing in electricity not used, just as a description, which may be on the credit note that you received. The account, again, you would do light power and heating, 5% VAT on expenses. Just keep it the same as this invoice. And then if we go into the tax amount, inclusive, which is the same as this invoice, we're only crediting a total of £50. And we're just going to approve this here. And once that's done, it should show all the outstanding invoices for the supplier. And we can just credit that pounds here. So before I end this video, I'm just going to give a quick note that you can credit an invoice and a purchase invoice that has been paid as long as the full amount hasn't been paid. So if there's an amount outstanding still left on the invoice, or you part paid it and then the rest of it will be credited, you can do that. But if the invoice has been fully paid, you can allocate a credit note against that. So thank you for listening to this training session.